Hi, my name is Katy Poole, and I am a Beachbody Coach and a certified personal trainer. I help people reach their health and fitness goals. Some of the programs we utilize is Focus T25 and P90X3. Through some of the challenge groups that I've run, some people have asked me for different modifications for squats and lunges, so that is what I'm going to show you today. Big thing to remember is form. Always look at form. Very, very, very important, especially when we're talking knee injuries and back injuries or preventing those things, as well as flexibility. Knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are through flexibility, especially when we talk about some of these big muscle groups such as the quads and hamstrings. And again, when we're talking any sort of lunges or squats, hip flexors play a big part in that. So making sure we've stretched ourselves out before we actually start our workout. So I'm going to show you some modifications to squats. So let's start there. So when we do a squat, we start with our feet about shoulder width apart. We're going to sit back as if we're sitting in a chair. And then we bring our hands forward to help with balance, making sure our knees are at a 90-degree angle. Our knees aren't over our toes. And then we push back up through the heels to return to the starting position. I'll show you this from the side so you can see what I'm talking about when I start talking about knees being in a 90-degree angle, not going over our toes. So again, a squat, keeping our head nice and high, sitting back as if you're sitting in a chair, arms go in front of you to help with balance. We're making sure our knees are not going over our toes. We have this 90-degree angle, and then we return back to the start position. So these are the basic squats. Back again. A great way to know that you're keeping the weight in your heels, which is very important with squats, as well as preventing knee pain, is to be able to wiggle your toes when you're down in the squat position. So if I'm in this position, I can wiggle my toes. I know the weight's in my heels, returning to the start position. So people who have knee pain or knee issues, doing repetitive squats in the same exact form over and over again can cause some issues. So there's the normal squat like we just showed you, or I just showed you. Another form of a squat is putting our feet together instead of shoulder width apart. So feet together, again, doing that same motion, standing up nice and tall, hands go out in front of us for balance, and then pushing through the heels. So that's another form. Another important key is to make sure our knees are in line with our toes. So I can, again, do a wider squat, which is fine. Again, just making sure that my knees are in line with my toes, and back up again. Okay, if I want to fan my feet out a little bit, that's okay. That might help with actually relieving some of the knee pain. It's important, again, knees in line with our toes. So again, and back up to the start position. So there's a couple different variations of the squat I just showed you. Another thing to remember is you don't always have to go down to that 90-degree angle. You can go down just shy of it. So from the side here, if you're going down, this is 90 degrees. If you can only make it a little bit like this, that's fine. Again, eventually you'll be able to make it down and have that muscle control in your quads and your hamstrings. So that is some squat variations I just showed you. You had your feet together, shoulder width, even wider apart, and then toes pointed out or fanning out. One other modification that I use specifically for the T25 workout is through the lunge progression. The lunge progression is something where you start on one side, you're lunging down, you're jumping back with your feet together, down to a lunge, back together, down to a squat, together, lunge, together. That pivoting, especially in the speed they go, is not great for my knees. I'm not quite there yet. I want to make sure I'm doing the lunge in the proper form, and the jump along with the pivot can cause some knee pain. So what I do instead is lunge forward and then step out to a squat. So I'll show you here. We're lunging forward, coming back, out to a squat, forward, squat, forward lunge, out to a squat. And again, making sure that knee does not go over my toe in each one of the forms, as well as making sure the weight stays in my heels. Whenever you're doing a squat, it's important to remember that you're going down, the weight's in my heels. When I push up all the way, I want to almost push my hips forward and squeeze my glutes or my butt through that full motion. So again, Hands can be in front of you as much as you need to help counterbalance. You're going down, knees at a 90-degree angle here. Heads up, shoulders up, hands out for balance. When I'm coming all the way up, coming through, I'm making sure that my hips are almost coming forward a little bit, squeezing my glute. So those are some key points to remember as far as when you do squats, as well as some modifications. If you need to use something for balance, you can use the same thing. I use this for both lunges, and you can use it for squats as well. Again, gives you a second to make sure everything's in the right position without feeling like you're gonna fall over. So don't be afraid to use this. You have something called muscle memory, that your muscles actually remember the move, especially when you do it over and over again, especially with some of these exercise videos that Beachbody puts out. So it's important to make sure you learn the form the right way the first time. So if you need to slow down, that's okay. And don't be afraid to make your own modifications. For example, with lunges, if I know that they're going to be doing the same squat or lunge the entire time, I might do some variations of my own. So I might do 10 squats this way, 10 squats with my knees together, 10 with my legs a little wider apart, and just keep rotating through until they move on to the next exercise to make sure that my knees aren't jeopardized or are not going to have any issues or any pain. So make sure you make your own modifications as needed. Follow the modifier in the video as well. But it's also great to use with different exercises, even if you go to do a CrossFit class or something like that, and you want to make your own modifications so you can keep up with everyone. So the point of these videos is to help keep you focused, help give you the information you need to modify and to push yourself and keep going without causing any injury or bring up any recurring injury. So I hope that helped. I hope you got some great information, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.